talking about on the count of three. It is a comedy about suicide, which sounds like a tough sell or something very uncomfortable. And it's quite the opposite. It's pretty great. Alonso, tell us about it.
So yeah, just so you know, we are going to be talking about suicide and self-harm in this review. So if that is a content warning for you, then that is a content warning for you. This is Jerrod Carmichael's directorial debut. He co-stars with Christopher Abbott.
What?
No.
It's a song about suicide.
You can't listen to music that exactly describes the emotional thing you're going through. You know how cheesy that is? I don't listen to Alanis Morissette when I'm going through a breakup, and I'm not listening to Papa Roach on the day I'm going to kill myself.
They play lifelong friends who are in a bad patch. Christopher Abbott's character has recently tried to kill himself and is in an institution. Jerrod Carmichael's character breaks him out, but with the intention that the two should shoot each other. And Abbott's character decides that they should maybe give themselves one more day to try and tie up some loose ends before they do that. Over the course of the day, we see them both confronting people who have caused them pain in their lives, including J.B. Smoove as Carmichael's stepfather and Henry Winkler as a doctor that Abbott saw as a child. It is dark material, but it does find the humor and the humanity within it. If you know Carmichael's stand-up act, you know that he is not like Mr. Joke, Joke, Joke. Like, he is kind of the king of the uncomfortable pause and the sort of long waits to get to the thing, and the thing will be funny eventually, but it will also be kind of like, you know, a little ouchy or provocative or just something you hadn't thought about before. And I think that spills over a lot into this film. He did not write it. It was written by the co-creators of the Hulu sitcom Rami. But I think it is very uncompromising at the material that it has chosen to tackle. And, you know, I think it's very easy for a film like this where, you know, usually in the first 5 or 10 minutes, whether they're like talking a big game, but they're not really going to go through with it, or they're absolutely going to go through with it. And in this movie, kind of the whole time, you don't really know how it's going to go or what these characters are going to do and what they will feel, you know, is the right idea or the wrong idea. So, you know, I like that a lot. I first reviewed this out of the Sundance Festival in 2021. Actually, which is also when I reviewed Pleasure, and both of those movies finally opened last Friday. So yeah, I hope people check it out. It is, you know, it's a bit of a challenging sit, but I think it heralds Carmichael as a filmmaker absolutely to watch.
I was so impressed by this, and it's such a tricky tone he pulls off, because it does seem like such an uncomfortable thing and an impossible thing to joke about.
Yeah.
But the laughs are easy and they are consistent, and they feel like they come from a true place from these guys and their friendship.
The character, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these two, they have incredible chemistry with each other, Carmichael and Abbott. They're so different, and then they evolve kind of conversely with each other, as in like one is really amped up and the other one is really low key. And then over time, they kind of meld into each other and come out the other end as different people. But there's a consistency and an honesty about their friendship that remains true. There are all kinds of really funny pop culture references in here that don't feel wedged in, that feel completely germane to the discussions that they're having as they're driving around town, as they are visiting people from their past. Tiffany Haddish in one scene is incredible. Like, this is the thing that I think I at least have been looking for from her, as she has been inching away from wild, brash comedy and toward meatier material, like that movie she did with Billy Crystal, wasn't it?
Oh, it was terrible. No, Here Today.
Yeah, and then the card counter she was
Counter.
in. But I never forgot that I was watching Tiffany Haddish, and here there's like a depth that we've not seen from her before, and she's brutal, and understandably so. Yeah, I was just over and over again impressed with what this film pulls off. And Christopher Abbott is always good, you know, like he movies like James White, like he just there's like a sort of a throwback 70s kind of vibe to him, like a Pacino or a De Niro. Like there's something really traditionally masculine, but also very sensitive about his presence. And he gets to show all of that here. And you see that the first shot is what, of his eyes, right? Like the first shot you see is of his, is like a close up on his eyes, and then Jerrod Carmichael's eyes, and it cuts back and forth and pulls out a little bit with each shot, each cut, and
Right.
then you realize where they are, what they're doing. But that kind of intimacy throughout this movie like makes you uncomfortable, but also makes you feel deeply invested in what is going on.
Yeah, I think I think you're right about Abbott being a very 70s kind of actor, and this is, I think, kind of a 70s movie. It feels like something along the lines of, and I'm not gonna say it's as good as, but like akin to like Dog Day Afternoon or something, where it's this, these are characters who are driven to extremes, but you understand why, and you know how they got there, and you get to know who they are, and sort of, if not, like you empathize even if you know that what they're doing is a big mistake, and so yeah, I think there's a lot of just sensitivity, but also kind of daring in telling the story and telling it this way. It's a high wire act that could have gone wrong very easily, and I think Carmichael really manages to make it work all the way to the very, very end.
Yeah, and it's such a high concept premise, like it's our last day. What are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
How do these guys spend their last day? And it does not necessarily play out in the ways that you might expect. So yeah, I don't want to say a whole lot more because you should experience it. It's
Yeah,
streaming. You can watch
it
it on
is.
Amazon. I watched it on Amazon. You can.
Yeah, it's available for I guess it was a premium on demand is what they call that, right?
Okay.
When it's the pricey rental, but it's also showing in a handful of theaters if it is showing near you. But yeah, I'm glad this movie's finally getting out into the world, and I really do want to see what else Carmichael does as a
For sure.
director. I mean, this is coming out now on the heels of his acclaimed and really great Rothaniel special, which if you haven't watched, I highly recommend. And I recommend this movie too. I give it an 8.3.
I'm saying 8.7. So we're giving on the count of 3 an 8.5. Go find it.